Hello boys and girls, and welcome to another episode of Folksbrow. Today on the bench we have something rather interesting. We have a Pfaff sewing machine. Pfaff was made in Germany. Quite a medium to high-end sewing machine as far as I know. Anyway, let's have a look and let's see what this machine is doing or not doing. Catch you on the bench. Right. Here on the bench we have our Pfaff Creative 1471 sewing machine. You can see the power cord here. I have plugged it in. I've taken the sewing needle out. That would go in there because I don't want to impale myself. So let's switch the power on. And absolutely nothing. Again, nothing. Let's see if the power cord and the fuse are okay. They're on the back. I'm just going to unplug the power cord and the fuse, and we'll come back and we'll measure them. Right, I've got my multimeter down there. Let's just get the power cord out, give it a measure. And you can see we're getting 240 volts on the power cord. So the power cord, all I'm measuring is between those 2 points. So the power cord is fine. Well, while we're at it, let's just get the fuse. We've got our fuse out. It just comes in one of these holders like this. So what we'll do, we'll switch it to continuity mode. And I'll just measure the fuse out quickly. So our fuse is fine. So it looks like we're going to have to open this sewing machine up, and I really have no clue how to do that. So let me have a look and see what I see and how we're going to get this machine open, and we'll come back. Right, so now we've taken the bottom cover of the sewing machine off, and we've got to the circuit board. Obviously the mains are plugged out, but you can see it's quite dirty, and it looks like there's quite a bit of flux residue and stuff like that. To take this board out, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 screws it looks like. So and there's some little battery pack here. I'm not sure what that's for. Actually, it doesn't look like 5. It looks like this will come out with the battery pack. Either way, let's take this board out and let's see what we have. Right, so I've loosened all the screws on the bottom, and what I've seen is something very interesting. I'm going to try and show you. So here's the power lead that comes in. I've got my multimeter set to AC voltage. I'm just going to probe in there, and we can see it goes up to 240 volts. You can't see very clearly, but trust me, when I put the power in here, here's the power lead. So it goes through the power lead, probably through that fuse, to here. And when I measure here, and trust me, I am measuring those points. I measure millivolts. what is interesting is if I take out the fuse, which I'll do now, and I'm just going to put it into continuity mode. And so when I measure the fuse, we get continuity. So our issue lies in here. Now, I don't know how I'm going to get to that. It shouldn't be too much of a train smash. Let's disconnect this board and let's see how I can get to that power connector. Right, so I've taken the whole motor assembly out, because on the motor assembly you have this PC board which has got our power point, our fuse, which fits in there if you remember from the back of the sewing machine. There's really not much on this PC board. There's 4 slots cut in here for the motor windings and stuff to drive it. And there's really not much on this PC board if we have a look at it. You've got your power switch, you've got your fuse point, you've got a capacitor, inductor, a resistor, another capacitor, and 2 what I would presume are SCRs, because we're firing AC. Now our problem is we are not getting AC out. Here's our power switch. If you remember, this plug point that was down in the motor. So what we need to do is we need to measure the continuity. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to switch this switch on, and we will follow our live trace. Now remember, when I say this, I'm saying this with a pinch of salt, because it's a 2-wire plug and you can put it in any way, so you've got a 50-50 chance of getting live. So let's see, I'm going to guess this one would be the live point. So live comes to here, we've got continuity. Now where does it go from there? And this is going to be, let's see, so we've got live on there. Do we have live to our fuse? No. What is, okay, so that's our neutral. Where does it go? Actually, I'm not following live, that's neutral. Let me move it. Live is this point here. It comes down to a switch. It's not going through the switch. I switch the switch on. It comes to our fuse point. Okay. So it's being switched through here and here to our fuse. Either side of our fuse, and it goes out to our motor. Let's move it back to our neutral point. So how do we get to neutral? Well, here's neutral. Here's neutral up here. This has got to be neutral. There's a link missing there. This has got to be missing. But if we measure across our switch, our neutral line is made all the way up to here. With this capacitor, there's a link here going to this part of the motor winding. So here is a link missing. Now, if we look at the back cover that goes on here, I just move this out the way. What we see is there's a bridge piece, but can you see that in there? It's very, very oxidized. Now, if we look at it like this, the design intention, what I believe, when you put this cover on, it will complete the circuit. But again, like I said, you've got a 50-50% chance of breaking live or neutral. Breaking the circuit doesn't make it safe for you to work here. No, not at all. Because you will still have one part that is 50% live, 50% chance of being live, and if you just happen to be earthed or grounded or whatever, you are going to shock yourself. So that was not, I don't know why they did that. So that's very oxidized, and if I measure it, let's do that and you can see what happens. That's if I measure continuity, and I'm just going to touch it. See, depending where I touch it, it's very intermittent. So that's one of our problems why we're not getting power. So to get across that, I'm not even going to bother, I will clean it, but we'll make something more permanent. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to solder a bridge across there. I'm not going to do it on camera, I'm just going to solder it offline. And then what we'll do is I'll put the board back in. We'll leave the back panel off. So I'll put this board, I'll solder these points back in, solder our bridge across it, and then we'll come back and we will put power on and see if we use our switch that it actually passes through. So let me get to that. So there we go. I've soldered the 4 motor terminals back, and there's our bridge piece. Notice I've left that, I didn't go straight across there, so I've left it for our existing terminal. So the only thing left to do is to check that power has passed through. So what I should do is put this cover back. Let's see, how does it, it's a bit awkward working around the camera, but come on. So you clip in there, and then you just clip down like that. Good. So there we go. So that's clipped down. So now we can put power on this thing. Where are you? So hopefully I haven't made a complete abortion of this. If you're wondering, this brown cable went through the choke. It goes to the gates of the 2 IGBTs. So there we have power on our board. Let's switch this to AC volts and try and untangle all my leads. No. Let's see if I put the multimeter here. Yeah, move the flux out the way. Let's just put it like this. There you can see it. So what I'm going to do is measure these 2 points. And of course we wouldn't measure voltage because I'm a right twat. I forgot to put the fuse back. So let's do that. Oh. Okay, fuse is back. We'll put the cover back. Why is it not going on? Let's just clip it back. Come on. Oh, sorry about that. Okay, let me put this back and then we'll come back and measure it again. Right, so I've put the fuse back, I've put the cover on. We'll make sure we switch it on. And then if we plug, let's just get our multimeter here. And where's our mains? Right, so if we plug our mains back in, and I go and measure this point again, voila, we have our 240 volt mains coming through. And if I switch the switch off, it should be gone. If I switch the switch on, there we have our 240 volt mains. Excellent. So we fixed the first problem, I think. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to put the motor back into the board, or into the sewing machine, and then we can come back and have a look and see if it turns on and what other problems we will have. Right, here we are. The machine's back, assembled to all intents and purposes for what we need. So let's make sure the power switch is off. We'll put the power on. Back. Not the brightest idea there, Craig. Let's do it like this. Okay. And when we switch it on, the light comes on. Some stuff going on here about battery. Could be because I replaced the batteries. Let's press buttons. Now, of course, I have no idea how one of these works. I didn't like what I'm doing there because it did something to adjust something. Now, do I put that down or up? Okay, I don't know. Let's go with down. Let's see if the foot pad is going to work. I have taken the needle out because I don't want to damage anything. Okay. That's me varying the foot pedal thing. There's a dead spot in the foot pedal. Yeah, so I think what we're going to do next is I'm going to strip the foot pedal, and we'll have a look there and give it a bit of a clean, because I think that's our problem now. So I've stripped and taken the back end of the foot pedal. It's not much. There's one of these that rises up and down, contact up and down the spring. But if you look in there, Look at that. Can you see it? See, that cable's been running on that ridge and it's flattened. So let's move it. Now what I suspect is in here is a variable resistance of sorts, so we're going to keep that one out the way. And what I'm going to do, I'm just going to take the end of the cable, hook up my multimeter to it in resistance, and we'll press the pedal and see what happens. I suspect that cable is the issue here. Yeah. Stranger things have happened. Let's take this around here so it's not in the way. And where's my other clamp? Ugh, it doesn't matter. What I'll do is hold it by hand. So we should see some sort of change in resistance as I move this up and down. If I put it the right way around, that is. No, have I got it? No, I've got it the wrong way around. No change there. Let's move it one up. No change at all. Why would that be? Let's make sure I've got these in the right place. Yes, that's going to the coil. No change at all. Not there. Not there. So let me hook it up inside and we can see if it's the pedal jack, the cable, or what is giving us a problem. So let's do that. Now we've made some sort of contact. There we see some sort of change. Okay, I think what we need to do is clean up all this gunk. I'll do that and then we'll come back and have a look. Right, here we are back again with the sewing machine. I put the foot pedal back together. All I did is clean the little carbon resistor and a lot of the fluff out inside. It's a bit of a bastard to get back together. There you go, that's your foot pedal. So let's give it a go. Okay. that seems to be working just fine. So of course I deserve a beer for that. The problem with these foot pedals is they're very mechanically orientated, very finicky the way that they're put together. So what I would suggest is to, well, you can't buy these machines anymore. Unfortunately, I think they stopped making this in 1999. So yeah, but you could probably buy some Chinese knockoff. Anyway, all that's left for me to do is put the covers back and then give it back to its owner. So yeah, let's have our closeout shot. And so we come to the end of another episode of Folksbräu. Interesting repair. I've never worked on a sewing machine before. The only thing I can say is you've got to be careful what you're taking out to get to the electrical or electronic side of it. You don't want to mess with any of the mechanical alignment because it's quite intricate, and I think it'd be a headache to set the machine up like this. The bridge piece, I don't know. I don't know why they put that in. I can't see the reason for it. If you wanted to break the power to the rest of the circuit, if that cover was open, yeah, but then you need a 3-wire system that you guarantee that you're breaking live. Well, even then you're not guaranteed. Either way, the original fault was apparently the foot pedal. Well, we had something else that made it interesting to find. I did check the motor brushes. They're fine. It's no point in taking the motor out if you're not going to check the brushes. So the brushes are fine. As I say, the foot pedal is very finicky. The Germans have this. Their older designs, they love combining mechanical and electronic, and it can make a bit of a headache. So what I can see, there is a lot of wear on the foot pedal. It will give quite a few hundred hours more pleasure out of it, but I would look for a replacement. Interesting, I didn't want to comment too much on the video. There's some hand carved name in the machine, which gives it quite a nice touch. They're very nice machines, very, very well made. Anyway, I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed it, and as always, take care, be safe, and we'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.